Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. So today we are going to be doing the tutorial for this hexagon shirt. I posted the short a while back and I've been getting some requests for me to do the tutorial, so here we go.
Okay, so here are the things you're going to need for this shirt project. Of course, your wool. I'm using a 5-ply cotton yarn. This is 200 grams. I don't know how many grams I'm going to be using yet, but this is what I'm starting with, the black and the white color. And then I'm using a 3.5mm hook for this one because I want the stitches tighter together. Then the scissors, a tape measurement, very important, a tapestry needed to sew in the ends, and then we need stitch marker. Okay, before you start this project, the measurements you're supposed to take, the very important measurement is number 1, your chest measurement, around your chest. Then around your chest measurement, you divide it into 4 places. So that's 1. And then you have to take the whole length from your shoulder to where you want the shirt to get to on your body. That's 2. And then another one around your arm. That one is very important as well. You have to take around your arm and divide it into 2. Don't worry, as we keep going, you'll understand because I'll be showing you step by step. Go. These are the measurements. Make sure when you take it, you write it down. So let's get started. So make a magic ring. Here's my magic ring. Then chain 3. 1, 2, 3. So in that same magic ring, this is standing as 1 already. Add 2 more double crochets. If you do not know how to make a double crochet, you can go to my previous video. I actually made a video on how to make all the basic stitches, but this one is not basic. This shirt is actually very advanced. So this is 3 double crochets already. I told you this chain 2 stands as 1 double crochet. So chain 1, and in the same magic ring put in another 3 double crochets to create a cluster. This is a cluster. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so chain 1 again, create another cluster. 1, 2, 3. So in this magic ring, we're going to put in 5 clusters inside. So chain 1 again, put in another 3 double crochets. As 1, 2, 3. So the last one, chain 1, 1, 2, 3. So we have 5 clusters in the magic ring already. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so you chain 1 and then slip stitch into the 3rd stitch of the chain 3 we made in the very beginning to close it up. So here we go. We have 5 on the magic ring already. So now what you're going to do, you're going to chain the length from the armpit down. You know, I told you to get the measurement from the armpit down. So now this is the beginning and this is supposed to be under the arms. So the person I'm making for is a medium, so I measured 13 inches. So that is what I'm going to be chaining now because I ended up chaining 61 in the last panel I've done. So we're going up for 61. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here's our 61 chain. So when you measure it, came down to 13. Yeah. So that's 13. Because when you keep working on it, the length keeps going because you'll be increasing to be creating the shirt. So here we have 61 chains, right? So from the 61 chain, hold down, chain another 3. 1, 2, 3. Then in the 61st chain, you put in a double crochet. The chain 3 serves as 1 double crochet, so now we have 2 double crochets, and then on same stitch make another double crochet to create a cluster. So now you're working the length up now. So chain, don't chain anyone, just yarn over, skip 2 stitch, and in the 3rd stitch put in another cluster. That's 3 double crochets. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Yarn over, skip 2, 1, 2, and go into the 3rd stitch and put in another cluster. 2, and then 3. So this is a pattern you're going to follow until you get to this spot here. When you get here, I'll meet you here. Okay, so here we are at the end, and as you can see we have 2 stitches left. So we're going to be going into this place. You see, from where we started doing the chain, you're going to enter there with a cluster, just like this. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So now into the next space, go with another cluster. 1, 2, 3. And just because this place is going to be a corner, we are now going to chain 1, and inside the same space we're going to put another cluster, another 3 double crochets to create one of the corners. 1, 2, and then 3. Right? Then on the next piece we go in with the cluster. 1, 2, 3, chain 1. We're making another corner here, so another cluster in same space after chaining 1. So you only chain 1 when you want to create a corner. So now we have 2 of the corners, and then in the next space you're going to go in with another cluster. 1, 2, 3, then chain 1 because we're creating the 3rd corner here. 1, 2, 3. So now we have 3 corners. We're going to be creating the last corner here, right? So in the next space we'll put in another cluster. 1, 2, and then 3, then chain 1, same space, put in another cluster to create the last corner. 2 and 3. And then in the next space, where you put the first one before we started creating the corners, put in 1 more cluster there, just like this. 1, 2, then 3. So now we are going to be working on the other side of the chain we made in the beginning. So what you do now is this: chain, no chains please, sorry. So yarn over, go into the space, count 1, 2, and on the 3rd stitch here you put in 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and then 3. Then yarn over, count 1, 2, and on the 3rd chain put in another cluster. 1, count 2 chains again, 1, 2, and in the third space you put in 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and then 3. So here, even if you don't want to count, all you just need to do is follow the steps of this one. As you can see, just follow the steps. So underneath every cluster you've made before, just go there to that stitch and just take the top, take the top like this. See? So if you want to even count, you count 1 and 2. So this is a third stitch going with a cluster. 1, 2, and then 3. So as you can see, it follows each other, the row, just like this. So that is what you follow. Just keep doing exactly the same thing until you get to this point. I'll meet you here. So you see, now we chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then turn your work. And the next piece you have to put a cluster there. That's 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And in the next space, you don't go over here, you just turn and start going back, right, to create the length part. So now we're going to put in another 3 double crochet on this next stitch just to make a cluster. We're already building the shirt, right? So in the next space, we're going to be putting on all 3 double crochets to create a cluster. That's 2 and that's 3. You just keep doing that until I'll meet you here. I'll actually meet you on this part. So we've gotten to the end of this part. Now we're going to the next space. I'm putting 3 double crochets. To create a cluster. And then in this next space, as you can see, is where we built a corner before now. So in there, we are going to be making another corner, because that is how we make the increases. So first, it starts with a cluster, 3 double crochets, then chain 1, and in the same space, we put another 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and then 3. And in the next space, you're just going to put 3 double crochets. As you can see, there's no increase here. So you put just 3 double crochets to create a cluster. And in the next space, see, it is an increase. So we'll go into the space and create a cluster. The first cluster. Then chain 1. Then in that same space, you put another 3 double crochet to create another cluster, because that happens to be the second corner. Don't forget, we have 4 corners. We have 4 corners on this part. Then this is the 5th corner. That is how you create an hexagon shirt. So the place that goes all the way down to the length part is the 5th corner. The reason I called it that is, you know, when you're creating a granny square, the granny square is usually just four corners to create a square, but this one you need 5 corners. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then the one that goes down happens to be the 5th corner. Okay, so that is exactly what you are going to be doing. Here there is no increase. You put in just 1 cluster and 3 double crochets, chain 1, then 3 double crochets. When you get to every corner, that is what you do to create a corner. That's 2 and that's 3. Chain 1, 2, and then 3. Right, that is what you do When you get to the point where there is no increase, just put your normal cluster, which is the 3 double crochets. But when you get to the corners, you put in a cluster, chain 1, and then you put in another cluster. Well, this is where I usually use my stitch marker so I don't forget the corners, you know, so you don't have to be watching out every time. What I do is I introduce my stitch markers. So if you look at it very well, this happens to be a corner where we put in this one. So I just put in my stitch marker here, just go into all the corners and put in my stitch markers, so I don't have a problem identifying them when I get to the points. So you see, that's it. So that's what I do. So it will help you better if you follow the steps. So now that we are done with all of our corners, all we just need to do is just keep creating clusters until we get to the very end. To the very end here. Yeah? And we continue. Okay? When I get to this parts, I'll show you what next to do, right? So here we've gotten to the end, but now this is what we're going to do. At this very end, you know we have a cluster here, so what you do, you count 3 stitches. 1, 2, and then in the 3rd stitch with a double crochet, just like this, to create this part. And then from here you chain in 3. 1, 2, 3. You turn your work, then yarn over, and then in this same stitch, this chain 3 you just made now is going to stand as 1 double crochet. So in this space, this next space you're seeing, you have to put in 2 double crochets inside to create a cluster. As you can see that, create a cluster, and then in the next stitch you create another cluster, and in the next you create another cluster. So that is how you build. You see, so what you do, you just keep creating the clusters just like that. Keep going like that. Then when you get to the corners, like I've told you, you know what to do. You put in the first cluster, you chain 1, put another cluster. That is how you create a corner. So as you can see, I've told you, if you have marked it, you will know where the corners are. So you put in normal 3 clusters, 3 double crochets, which is a cluster, 1 cluster, 1 cluster. Then when you get to each corner, you put in 3 double crochets, chain 1, another 3 double crochets just to create the corners. So as you can see, that's what you keep doing. When you get to each stitch marker, you make the increase by creating the 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets is a corner, and at the same time is where we do our increase. So just keep doing that. And I'll meet you in the color change. So each panel I made 20 inches, which is 10 in each side. Okay, let me show you what the one I already made. This is it, as you can see. Raise the camera up a bit, see if you can understand what I'm saying. Okay, so you see it when you do it like this, and you curve it this way. So what I did on this part, first of all, I made a 10 inches here, a 5 inches here, which is 10 rows to get to this point. And I changed the color and I made two rows of the white, that happens to be 1 inch, and then I added 4. So on this part I have 10 inches. So this is the panel 1, which I was telling you about. So on this panel we are going to do 4 inches and 10 inches, and the other one we're going to do 10 inches because we divided it into 4. So since my client's chest is 21, I'm doing 10 inch on each panel, which is 20 each, 20 inch if I decide to open it like this, but that's not how we use it. I'm supposed to use it like this. So we'll do 10 inch, but I'll keep explaining to you so you'll get it right when we get to this point. So just keep doing what you're doing until you have 10 rows, and I'll show you how we change the colors into the white colors to create this white strap right here. Okay? Yeah. So on this side we have 10 rows, that is exactly 5 inches. So we'll be introducing the white color. We're going to have 2 rows of the white color. Let me bring it down the camera so you see what I'm doing. Okay. So I'll complete this last stitch. Change the color into white. Then chain 3. Make sure you tie the knots very well here so it doesn't escape. I like to tie it twice, always. Turn your lock. And just keep doing exactly what we've been doing, creating clusters. So on the same stitch, putting 2 more double crochet to create a cluster. To the next stitch, create a cluster. 3. 1, 2, 3. So basically it's exactly the same thing we've been doing. We just changed color from black to white. So on this white we're going to be doing 2 rows. Yeah, just keep doing it. Don't forget your increase corners. Yeah, just keep doing it all around to this point. Then chain 3, go back again, do it all around and to this point, and I'll meet you here when we are done with the whites to tell you what to do next. Okay, so here we are. After doing the 2 rows of white, I went ahead to do 1 more row of black because this is where the switch starts. There's something else we need to do here now. Let me fold it so you can see the beauty of the shirt is actually coming out already. As you can see, yeah. Please pay close attention to the explanation I'm going to give here because it's very important. The sleeve of the shirt I'm making for this size is supposed to be 7/8, but I'm going to stop it here. So we already have 7.5. I'm going to be doing it in between 7 and 8. So I'm done with the sleeve. So instead of going all the way down and rolling it up like that now, this is what we are going to do. So now we have 4 corner points, like I told you. That's why I said you should always use a stitch marker so you know what you are doing, you know the calculation you're doing. So we are not going to be adding here anymore because this is a sleeve. We are done with this part because we already have 7.5 there. We are good with it. So whatever we are going to be doing now is just going to be increasing the other parts from here down to this part. So we need to work on one side first before we go to the other side. So what we do now, we are going to start working from this beginning. We'll work all the way and end on the second corner point. Then we'll turn back and go back down to this point. So we are going to be working just one side. Let's get into it so you can see what I'm doing. So in the next row, we go ahead and keep creating clusters like we've been doing before. The next stitch, keep on going, creating clusters. Going to the next stitch, create a cluster. So this is what you continue doing until you get to, this is the first corner. When you get to the second corner, you stop at the second corner. I'll meet you here at the second corner, so I'll tell you exactly what to do. Okay, so here we are. So what I did is just continue this row from here. I do it all the way to the second corner where you have the second stitch mark. So what we are going to do here now, instead of going all the way down like we used to, we'll just make a cluster here. One, two, and three. So instead of chaining one and creating a corner here again, we are going to chain up 3, 1, 2, 3, and then turn our work back to this beginning we are coming from. You know, like I explained to you, we are not going all around. We are working one side first. Then when we finish this other side, we'll attach the yarn to the other side and create the next part. So you chain 3, turn your work, and then into the next stitch. Into the next stitch, you put in a cluster. That's 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Then onto the next stitch, put in another cluster. 1, 2, 3. And on the next stitch, you just keep creating same thing and just doing exactly what we've been doing, but this time around we are going to be creating just one part. Just keep working here. Now we're going like this to this end here, start off here again, and when you get your 8 rows, we'll come back and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so here we are. We're at the end of this part. You know, I told you we were working the first panel, so I ended up doing 8 of the rows, and now I'll have to start on the second part just to meet up with that other one. See the way it's looking now, right? So now I have 10 inches already on this part. See, we got 10 inches. So go ahead to fix your yarn back here and do exactly the same thing like you did on the side to create this other side, just like that. When you have 8 rows in total for this other side, then I'll meet you there, then we'll do the next part. All right, so we've gotten to the end of row 8 on the second panel. So here's how we are looking now. As you can see, we are almost done with this panel. So what we are going to do now, we are going to close it up. So what I want to do is I will attach the white yarn because I want the white to come out again. I don't want to stop it in just the black one. So I'm going to add the white yarn here now, and that is what we're going to close this part with. So it will give us the arm. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, here we are. So as you can see, we've added the white, just one roll of white down to this point now. So we're going to do it on the other side of the same panel here at the back. So now, but this one is going to be a little different. Let me adjust this very well so you can see what I mean. Okay, so this is going to be a little different because we are going to be joining these two together to complete one arm. So what we'll do now, we'll attach our yarn, the white yarn, in the arm area, right? Attach the white yarn here, the one we're going to use to close this panel. Then you chain up 3, 1, 2, 3. Then bring the other part and go into the very last stitch here, and then take this one and bring it out here on the other side. So chain 1 and go to the next stitch of this part and put in a cluster right there, just like this. 1, 2, and then 3. Then go to the other side, pass it through there, take this one, pass the loop through here, and then chain 1, yarn over, and create a cluster on the other side. So this is how you join the two panels together, the two sides together to create the one panel. So leave this one, let me go slowly so you get it clearly. Leave this one and then go into the stitch on the other side, pass it through this loop, take the loop through the stitch, chain 1, yarn over, and go back to this part and put in a cluster. 1, 2, and 3. So you do the same thing again, just like this. Chain 1 and go in here and create a cluster, just like that, until you see it. So as you can see, we're closing up already to form the armhole. You see the armhole here. So that is exactly what you do until you get to this point where the two stitch markers meet. I'll meet you here and tell you what to do next. So we are at the end of the arm closure. So you can see this is how it looks. Yeah, I just want you to do this in part with you. So going here, take out the loop from the other side, chain 1, and then put a loop here. Here is where we're supposed to end it. Here's the corner. So now we can let this go. So what we'll do now, we'll put in a cluster here, 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and then 3. Then we'll go into this other corner, let this one go. Now the stitch markers, they've done their work. So we'll go into this corner, then we'll bring the loop out of here, then chain 1. Then to continue creating the corner, we're going to put a cluster in here. That's 3 double crochets. That's 1, 2, and 3. So in order to complete what we've done on this part, because we had to put the white row, one row of the white to this very end, we are going to be doing the same thing right here, but the attaching the arm together ends on this corner. You see, this is how it looks. So what you do now, you continue with the white row down to the very end of the shirt here, right? So this is where we are at. So what you do now, you continue creating the clusters until you get to this part. I'll meet you here, then tell you what to do next. Okay, here we are. After joining it, this is what it looks like. And now we've put in the last row of white, and now we have our panel. Yeah, this is the arm. So what you're going to do for me now is go ahead and create the second panel, do exactly what you see here, right? I've done mine. So this is the second panel of my own. My table is not big enough to actually contain the two of it, but here I have my 2 panels. So what we're going to do next now is this. So this is it. We are going to be creating the back of the shirt. Let me try to raise it up a bit. If we can get it out. Okay. So this is it. What we're going to do now, we're going to create the back of the shirt, which is this part. We'll add 3 rows of black on this part now. Then on the other panel, we'll add another 3 rows to complete the back of the shirt. To create that row, you start by actually attaching the black yarn. I'm going with the black this time. It doesn't have to be black and white, the colors that you use on your own. You can use any color of your choice, but I ended up using black and white on my own. So what I did is, you see, this is the end of where we've joined it here. So on this point, you know, this is supposed to be a corner, and that's the end of the join. What you do is attach your yarn in here, just like this, and then chain up 3. 1, 2, and 3, and create a cluster in there. That 3 is serving as 1 already. So this is 2, and this is 3. And then next space, you put in a cluster. 3, and the next space, just basically exactly what we've been doing. So what you do for me is on this panel at the back, just one side, you put in 3 rows of black, just doing exactly this, and then on the second panel at the back, you do exactly the same thing, add another 3 rows, and we'll come back and I'll show you how we join the 2 panels together. Okay, so here we are after adding the 3 rows at the back. This is a full length of the shirt. My table is not big enough to contain it, like I told you. So now we are going to be joining it together, but at the end of the day, I ended up adding 4 because I want the black to be a little more, so the contrast of the white stripes makes sense. If you know what I mean. But for your own size, you can go ahead to make more rows if you want. If you want the shirt bigger, you can go ahead to make more rows to create the back. Yeah, mine, I ended up putting 4. I added 1 more white and then 3 black, and then I put 2 black here because we are going to be joining it together now, just like we did in this part, this arm part. It's exactly the same way we are going to be joining this part. That's why I had to stop so I can show you before I join the 2 panels together. So go ahead to join your own now, and then I'll meet you back here to show you what to do to the front parts. So I'm done joining the 2 panels. Here is it. Okay, so this is how it looks in front now. The 2 panels joined together. So now we are going to be working on the front. You know, we put 4 rows each on the front panel, on the back panel. So we are going to repeat exactly the same thing on the front, but it is going to be a little different on the front panel. So I'll show you right now. Okay, so for the front of the shirt, this is the front. We are not going to be starting immediately the way we did at the back. We are going to be counting out 3 clusters. So this is 1 cluster, 2 cluster, 3 cluster. So after the 3 cluster, the space just after the 3 cluster, see that point on top, that is where you attach your yarn, and then chain up 3. 1, 2, and 3. Then yarn over, go down to the next space. I'm putting a cluster right there. 1, 2, and 3. Then to the next space, putting another cluster. So you see here now, we are going to be doing decreases to create the V kind of neck for where the collar will relaxing. So just continue creating the cluster like we've been doing until we get to this part. Then chain up 3, come back again, and I'll meet you right on top to show you what to do next. Me, I'm going to be switching from white to black here because I only want 2 rows of my white to be here. So when I get to this part, I'll switch up my yarn down to black and chain 3, and I'll meet you here. All right. Okay, so we've gotten back to this place where we started. Don't mind all this rope. We are going to weave them in later. So this is how it is looking in front. So I want to show you how we'll continue it in front here. So you see where we started from. You know, we counted 1, 2, 3 and started here, and I did it all the way down, and I changed my color to black, and I ran it through to this part. So I'm going to show you how we are going to end this part now, right? So now, instead of putting a cluster in here like we've been doing, because we're decreasing, we're just going to count 1, 2, 3, and on the 3rd stitch, we'll just put in 1 double crochet, just like this. See? Then chain up 1, 2, 3, then turn your work. Creating the clusters, going to the next space and putting 3 double crochets, and into the next putting 3 double crochets. So just like that, that is what you'll maintain. See? Now we have this. So that is exactly what you maintain now. And just keep doing it on this row. So you start chaining your 3, go to the next space and put in a cluster. Do it to the end here. When you get to this end here, you chain up 3 again. You do exactly the same thing and end it the way I taught you here instead of creating a cluster. So until you get 4 rows here like we did at the back, because we're going to be putting 4 here and 4 on the other side. So go ahead and do this one to get your 4 rows, and do the other side and get your 4 rows, and I'll be back to show you how to fix the collar. Okay, so we are here. I'm done with the 4 rows in the front. So now we are going to be working on the collar. So what you do, see this very first space here, you attach your yarn there and make a cluster. 1, you know the chain 3 is having as 1 cluster already, so 1, and then 2 and 3, and then on the next space you make another cluster. Just be putting it on the decrease spaces. It's very obvious here. And then the next space, just keep doing the clusters. So we've gotten to the regular part. Just keep putting in your clusters with 3 double crochets. That is what you're going to do all around the neck space. Just keep doing it until you get to this spot, and I'll meet you here. Okay, so we've gotten to the end of the row 1 for the collar. That's the end part. So what we'll do now, we are going to chain 3 and just keep creating clusters. You keep on creating clusters until you get to this point again. Then when you put your last cluster here, you put a 3 double crochet here and chain 3 again, and keep doing it until you get the length of the rows that you want. Me, I actually made I think 7 rows in total. 7 rows in total. When I'm done with the collar, I'll come back and show you what I got. But you just keep doing your own until you get to the length of the collar that you want, and we'll wrap it up. Okay, so we've gotten to the end of the tutorial of this shirt. So after making the collar, this is how it came out. I went ahead to put a single crochet on this part after making all of the rounds, and ended it with a single crochet as well. So I went ahead to put some buttons as well. Let me show you the whole thing, how it looks now.
I hope I can cover everywhere. Okay, here you go. So here's the finished product. Oh, it's so beautiful. So you tell me how your own went and tag me so I can see what you did. I went ahead to put my little label as well. Alright, until next time, make sure you subscribe and turn on your notification buttons. Okay, bye.